pagsubok, mga puso nating di mapapagod. Abutin ng kamay na handang tumamay, mga puso nating di mapapagod. Nasa puso ng bawat Pilipino, pagmamahal sa kapwa at serbisyong totoo. Isang bayan, tayo'y aahon.
Good day, everyone. It's a beautiful Sunday. Welcome to Asian Women Leaders Lab, an initiative of Cognition Plus and Babangon Tayo. My name is Prella, and I will be your facilitator for this brown bag discussion. We are pleased to have amazing women to share with us their thoughts on innovation in Asia Pacific. But before that, let me just greet everyone. I see some messages coming from the chat box. Hello, Salma Mala from Maguindanao Province. Welcome, Abigail Manuel from Bukidnon. It's nice to have you here. Good afternoon to you too, Julian, Paula, and everyone in this brown bag session, all of the 33 amazing people. Welcome. I am pleased to introduce to you passionate, inspiring, and committed leaders who has learned from adversities and carries on an I'll show you attitude. And our resource speaker, one of them is Bhargavi. She is a senior government officer in the government of Gujarat, India. She has been into the field of rural development and agriculture. We also have another Radha Paudelng from Nepal. She is the CEO and founder of the Global South for Dignified Menstruation. She is a Women Peacemaker Awardee and an AIM Alumni Achievement Awardee. Radha?
Namaste. Thank you.
Great. Another resource speaker is Nur-Ainee Lim. She's the president of Al Husna Foundation, focusing on developing human capital. Another resource speaker, we are pleased to have Myra Gahid. She is a psychologist and founder of 100% Attitude Project. It is a proactive volunteer group serving as a bridge between mental health professionals and Filipinos while helping local businesses promote their products and services. Wow. And we are so grateful to have you all. And we would love to know more about you, especially
from Gujarat, Government of Gujarat and India. Presently, I am at my home at Ahmedabad. Thanks for inviting me.
Great. Okay, we would like to know more about you. Bhargavi, did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yeah, it's correct. Bhargavi is a correct pronunciation.
Bhargavi. Okay, great. So, Bhargavi, I wanted to know who are your most important stakeholders and describe the leadership journey that brought you to where you are right now.
I am working as an IS officer, Indian Administrative Service. It is the highest service in our country. And presently, I am working as an Additional Commissioner Rural Development and also imparting training as a Special Director of State Institute of Rural Development. So I am with government service since last 30 years. I have joined government in when I was only 24 years and with the aim to serve the community. So we have to enter this service. It's a very hard competitive exam. Thousands of people, they will appear for the exam and few were selected. So I have started my journey in 1991, long back. And there are many milestones in my career. So I'll discuss it with you later on.
Amazing, amazing, Bhargavi. Wow, at the age of 24, that's amazing. Radha, we would also like to know more about you. Could you share with us who are your important stakeholders and describe the leadership journey that brought you here?
Because of the internet issue, I am not using my video. Apology for that.
It's okay. We understand.
Actually, first, thank you so much for having me. It's great honored, and I'm so humbled. I wanted to extend my sincere thanks to dearest Alvin for this opportunity and you for nice and comprehensive introduction. Indeed, my leadership story is very upside down, very strange. I don't like to use the word of unique. I would love say strange, and my story is abnormal. And of course, I think I'm also abnormal. Do not expect much from me. So, going through the leadership, I think it is better to share about my personal story that gives much information. I born with without debt. I mean, I'm the unwanted fourth girl child in a rural, poor, non-political family in Nepal. Since childhood, I experienced the discrimination, and at the age of the 7, when I was about 7 years old, I knew about the menstrual blood is the product of the sin from the God. That was my first striking question in my life. I was so traumatized. I also witnessed a series of restrictions during menstruation, which was followed by my 3 sisters and mother and neighborhood. That gave me a very traumatic feeling experience where I did not like to live as a girl child in my community. So I attempted suicide. I ran away from the house for committing suicide. Fortunately, it could not happen. And later, when I was 14 years old, I had a first menstruation, and then I ran away again from my house for 5 days in order to avoid all kind of restrictions as my 3 sisters. So that was my story in the beginning, in the background. So I was living with the 2 minds and hearts. One mind and hearts constantly thinking about how could I die, because I don't like to live as a girl child, or how could I die and rebirth as a boy. This is how I was struggling a lot. And at the age of 16, I went to the nursing college for my certificate degree, and I knew the essence of the menstruation over there. And then I realized my parents were not doing mistake. That was the mistake from the socialization, the ignorance, the silence. And this is how, at the age of the 16, I started to speak up publicly about menstruation. During that days, my scope, I was so narrow. Being born in the rural area, Nepali woman was not easy to talk. I joined the government job. It was a very precious permanent job. Later, I joined a bilateral organization as a team leader, and later INGO. But I did not find the space for the dignified menstruation or dignity of the menstruators throughout the life cycle. And I was struggling a lot. I'm pushing here and there to incorporate the agenda of the dignified menstruation, and no one liked to talk about it. No one liked to hear my stories. Most of the people manipulated my stories. First, they don't like to heard my stories. Later, they manipulated, they sympathized me. but they are not creating this space for the menstrual dignity, because in this world, the menstruation exists for last 4 billion years, or time of the Homo sapiens. And because of the menstruation, this world is moving. I have been going through all researches, literatures, and found that it was not my family problem. It was not only my country problem. It is the issue. The menstrual discrimination is happening across the globe in the different name, the visibility, the magnitude, the varieties, that kind of things are different. But the taboo, stigma, restriction, violence, discrimination is happening everywhere, in all countries, in all religion. And this is how I quit all my luxury job in government, in bilateral, and after graduated from AIM in 2010, I decided to work on dignified menstruation. And even today, no one like to hear about it, even in Nepal. So it is very difficult, very challenging, but I have done already so much impact at the national as well as the global level. We started the Dignified Menstruation Day for the 8th December. In other words, the 16th day activism, it is the 14th day. December 8th is the 14th day of the 16 days activism. If any of you familiar with the 16 days activism, which is started by UN since 1991. So right now, the dignified menstruation is a matter of the interest. I was invited by the universities, but it's still very difficult to get the support ally within the country and outside. And in this given scenario, my stakeholders are the governments. My stakeholders are the UN General Secretary, the chair of the CEDA committee in Geneva, and the INGOs, the private sectors, those who have to incorporate the dignified menstruation is a cross-cutting issue, which is beyond the gender. Gender lens doesn't acknowledge the priorities of the menstruators. We have already seen it. We have hundreds of examples of it, because since 1948, we keep talking about the human right. Since the Declaration of the International Human Right, we keep talking about the women's rights since 1979, which we call CEDA. We keep talking about the Paris conference. There are so many things we keep talking, including SDG, but there is no mensuration. And recently, since 2014, people started to talk about the hygiene. That means talking about the distribution of the sanitary or menstrual pad, or talking about the cleanliness, sanitation, which is not really the dignified menstruation. Dignified menstruation is a holistic approach, new shifting to assess the development, human rights, and feminism, and to reimagining the future of all girls and women across the globe.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Radha, for sharing that with us. In fact, when I did a brief research on the resource speakers, I had to make sure that I got the right word of the organization that you are managing. And thank you for sharing with us the extent of the issue in Nepal. It is something that is an eye opener to personally for me, and I guess for everyone. And that was brave of you to share your story. And I see a great model for your resilience, and we're going to talk about that later on. But let me go on now to Nur-Ainee. We would like to know more about you as well.
Hi, Puella.
Yes. May we know who are your important stakeholders, and share with us the leadership journey that you have to go through that brought you here to where you are right now.
So I would have to start from when I was still small. I think what makes a leader is from the day one that you come into this world until where you are right now. So I was fostered in an environment, in a household where, as the youngest girl there, yes, youngest child, I was free to speak my mind. I was free to question. I was always so many questions, and the adults in the house never tired of encouraging me to keep talking about issues that I was curious about. So moving forward with I was exposed to the educational system here in the Philippines until I was in high school. And I spent a few months in Ateneo de Manila University. My major was development studies. But then I had a scholarship, international scholarship in the American University of Sharjah. So this is what I would say, one of the most significant strides in my leadership journey, because that was when I was exposed to different cultures. Being one of only 5 Filipino students there, I had to somehow adapt to the culture shock, to the differences in not just the language, but how from different walks of life. It was an international school. So after that, my exposure as a professional and working as a manager in a cultural center in Dubai, again, I was exposed to somehow like a United Nations sort of environment where, it didn't matter that I was from the Philippines or my colleagues were from America or from Colombia. We all had an understanding that transcended borders. And with that, being a woman, being a Muslim woman, it was really an empowering experience that I brought back with me when I settled back here in 2012. So in the Philippines, I was able to work as a principal in one of the private schools in Zamboanga City, where I was based. And now, as president of Al Husna Foundation, our goal is to establish rapport and understanding, regardless of race or cultural background, and religious background, and even economic status. How? By using Islam as a change agent and empowering Muslims to be productive citizens, and making sure that wherever they are, they bring positive changes to their community. So we are trying to invest in human capital, trying to look for different innovations where we are able to harness the potential, not just of women, but every single one in the society. So when we talk about stakeholders, we start from the grassroots. Subhanallah, like you can just imagine the ideas. When we say innovation, it's not limited to just technology or the big picture, the big ideas. It's about how a common person is able to adapt despite their circumstances. And you can see that most of the solutions are already there. We just have to listen to them. So maybe the innovation, it's not really looking for the solution, but finding ways to change our perception of how we work with the communities that we are exposed to. So these are just some of the significant areas that we're working with. I'm also working with the government on the side for peace and sustainable development, organizing women across the Bangsamoro region, always for the goal of making sure that we leave this world somehow a little bit better than when we first entered it.
Wow, thank you so much, Nur-Ainee. Really, we are just in the introduction part of the discussion. I just have goosebumps. Yeah, empowering women, making sure that we live a better life in one way or another. Amazing. We will get to talk about that more later on. Thank you, Radha. Myra Gahid, yes, we would like to know more about you as well.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. The first 3 speakers are just amazing. Listening to them speak about their stories and their journeys make me feel like I'm in the right room in a sense because I can learn from them. And speaking of leadership, I don't know if my stories are at par relatively in terms of their life experience, because the initiative that I have started, the 100% Attitude Project, was just brought about due to the pandemic. So it started just last year, and I was very fortunate as well to be in partner with Cognition Plus for this initiative. But our initiative, the 100% Attitude Project, was actually a product of a random, what do you call this, me time session. It was because during the initial phases of the pandemic, mental health was a very big story. Up until now, we can see the effect of um, the pandemic to our mental health in terms of education, students shifting from face-to-face classes to online classes, teachers as well taking leaves or even resigning, changing careers, the difficulties of people losing jobs, and a lot more. And I wanted to focus not just as a mental health professional, but also as someone who has experience in terms of mental health conditions. No, so in my leadership story, I think it started just as Miss Lim has mentioned earlier, from childhood. So even with an introverted um, kind of introverted perspective in terms of relating with other people, I have always had an interest of watching people or observing people, not in a creepy way, but I wanted to know why people do the things they do. And that's what led me to psychology. And I think for me, there was no other option, or I haven't given myself any other option but to take psychology during college. And this is where I wanted to thrive in terms of a career, in terms of leaving a mark, just as Ms. Lim has mentioned earlier. I can relate to the context of having an impact in relation to other people, and in relation to if ever things would, have resources, or people would have resources, that everybody would have a sense of equality in terms of opportunity, in terms of sharing their own uniqueness, in terms of sharing their own identity. I'm all for that. So in terms of stakeholders, I think we're just starting. Right now, we are focusing on the Cordilleran youth. However, one of our main concerns actually is internet access. So although we would want to provide mental health services, indigenous groups, the most vulnerable people here in the north, I think all over the Philippines, would have no access to even the basics. So food, water, shelter, transportation. So I think our target, or our influence, would be much felt if ever the pandemic is over, and hopefully that happens soon. So stakeholders would be, for now, the youth. We would really want to expand to a larger audience, but I don't want to overwhelm myself and the team as well for thinking that way, because sometimes it happens that we have good ideas, we have big, as Ms. Lim has mentioned, we have big innovations in mind. However, when we just stay in the thinking process, it would be more difficult for us to actually put them into action. So I know I went off tangents there, but I'm just very excited to be with these people, and thank you for having me here.
Myra, to have you with us. Amazing, amazing. Yes, provide access to food. Hunger is a very serious issue, not just in our country, not just in Asia Pacific, but in the entire world. I totally agree with you. Amazing, amazing women with us today. I can see just one common characteristic: resilience. We will talk about that right now. Bhargavi, I can see you raising your hand.
Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. First of all, I'm highly inspired by the story of my co-speaker Radha, Nur-Ainee, and Myra. And I would also like to share many stories of my long career. But because looking to the time, I'll share the two, three stories. First is related to women health. When I was DDU Ahmedabad, there are 10 blocks under me and total population of 10 lakhs under me. And we have a health department under me. So we have identified identified the pregnant women. Pregnant women having high risk. High risk means either they have a diabetes or they have a AIDS or tuberculosis or may have a multiple pregnancy or they may have a history of miscarriages. So we have identified this kind of 1,000 women who has this kind of a problem when they were pregnant. So maternal health and the childbirth is a very important thing in the rural part of the any country, especially in Asian country. So we have identified these women and we have then continuously followed up them, and every alternate day we are sending the message to them. And then finally I was very happy to share that none of them died during their pregnancy. And all the 637 women, they have their child, and the child at their weight at the birth was more than 2.5 kg. So for that, continuously, we are giving medical follow-up, and during and for the other pregnant women also. In my tenure, I have made sure that not a single woman should die in their pregnancy. That was my motto. So that at that time, more than 25,000 women were pregnant in the district. So we have a software that every, and we have a Mamta card. There is a health card, and that health card they are showing the everything, the medical history as well as their weight. And every Wednesday, our paramedical staff, we can call it a nurse or a multi-purpose health worker. They used to visit them. And finally, like you have a Christmas, we have a Diwali. At that time, you don't find a doctor because they are also going to their home or any other hill station or to enjoy the festival and all. So I myself have written a letter and message everyone that if you, and I have find out the list of uh, block wise, I have find out the list of the doctor. So I have 10 blocks. So I have find out five doctors, those who are available at the time of the festival. And I have written a letter, I have spoke to them, and I have messaged them also and WhatsApp them also. If you have any problem, you can directly contact me, because I was at the highest authority. People sometimes afraid of it can how to contact me, but I have given my mobile number, my landline number, email ID to everybody, and especially WhatsApp and phone, so they can contact me. So at the time of the Diwali, I have received more than 50 calls. So how, where they will go for their delivery, because the labor pain and everything is started. So this is the one thing, that maternal health and healthy child. That is one of my motto that I have saw. The other thing, most important thing I did, that is I'll share with you, that is regarding the employment. I have many incidents, but I'll share 2 to 3 incidents with you. And that is regarding the handloom and handicraft artisan, because Asia is a full of handloom and handicraft artisan. And in a present situation, as all of us are going for the brand and we are going to the mall, and somehow we are forgetting to buy from the real artisan, those who are weaver, those who do the embroidery, those who do the pottery work and all. So on my list, I was as an executive director, industrial extension, cottage industries. I was there for 4.5 years. And we have identified more than 5,000 artisan in the Gujarat. Those who are weaver, potter, the women who are doing embroidery. And then we have given them a very well designer who are from the best institute of India, like National Institute of Design of India, National Institute of Fashion Design. These are the premier institute of India. So we have attached with them. Then we have improved the design and the quality and as per the demand of the customer. And I have organized in a year, there are 52 weeks, and there is a monsoon also, and there is an exam season also. But I used to conduct a parallel exhibition and parallel this fair for the sale of their item. And it is a record that I have in my 4 years of career. I did more than 300 fairs, and all of them, their economic level has slowly and gradually come up. Some of them, they were not able to marry. They have married. Some of they don't have the house. They have brought the house. Some don't have the vehicle. Some have Some have sent their children to very good school. So this way we can boost up the rural economy also, and we can show the rich heritage of handloom and handicraft to the new generation. So this is my another project of the employment generation as well as the recognition of the handloom and handicraft. And when I was in Philippines also, I have brought all these things, and then I have showed it to them. So these are the things. Almost all Asian countries, you have the same, that in a bottle or a jar, they are putting something and making very nice like beadwork and all. So we also have the same. Then weaving, tie and dye, pottery, and India has a rich heritage of a textile handicraft. And Gujarat also has some region which we call Saurashtra, that is the Gujarat's western part of the Gujarat, and Kutch. That we did. And another one project I did for the education, because education is very close to my heart. My granny was also a teacher. My mom is also teacher, and I would also like to be teacher. But my sister said that you are very clever, so you don't be teacher. You appear in this competitive exam. She has turned out my form of bachelor in education, and finally I have given the exam and I have become officer. But still, there is a teacher in me. So I got an opportunity where more than 1,000 schools are under me. So I say there is a great bridge, great divide in urban and rural education system. Because in urban there is a very good school. People are sending their children to very good school, this that, and they focus on their education. But in rural area, we have to like we have to tell them to send their children to school. We have to compel them, and we have to send our teacher to their houses. We send your children to the school. So that is the school enrollment drive. I did it 100%, and 100% girl child education, 100% enrollment of a girl child in a school. The girls who are above 5. That is the one thing very close to my heart. And what I did there is, because Ahmedabad is one of the important, you can say the practically the capital of Gujarat, although the capital is Gandhinagar, but Ahmedabad is for all practical purpose, and it's a textile hub. It is called the Manchester of India because of these mills and all. So there are very good schools in city. So I have introduced a program called Gnan Setu. Gnan means knowledge and Setu means bridge. So all the best time-tested schools of this town, we did a MOU. I have not told them to adopt. I said my children, my rural children, they are far better than your urban children. Urban children, they are street smart. They know the technology. But my rural children, they know how to live with the community. They know the meaning of the sharing. They know how they go to the field, they go to the farm. They alone can travel in the public transport, while our own children, they can't travel in the public this system and all. They will be hesitating or miss something, but these are so smart. So we have a share a sibling project, because in urban area hardly you have a single child, double income single child. So the child is also alone, and they don't know how to share, and they don't have any emotional bonding with anybody because of the nuclear family. So they share the sibling, and still they are sharing it. They are sharing they are celebrating the festival together. And all the children from the rural school, they come to that school allotted to them. The school, they have a MOU with the same school, and they go for the science exhibition, mathematics, and whatnot. And then we have find like an Indian idol. I have an Ahmedabad idol. The children who are best in various extracurricular activity, like poetry recitation, singing, dancing, and many more. So we did that, and we have identified those children, and we have linked these children with one of the best schools. If they are good at the music, we have joined them at the music school. If they are best at computer, then we have take them to the best computer center in the summer vacation. And we did a teachers training also to elevate their level as per the private school and granted school. I have many experience, but I think there are many speaker, and I would like to share about my background also, because my grandparents, they were at Karachi, and after partition, my grandfather expired because of the shock. He was a very rich man there, and my grandmom, she came to Gujarat along with her 5 children, and then she has started her journey from rags to riches. She was a rich, and then all of a sudden, because of the partition, everything has happened. But one motto in my family, that is to educate the children. And there is no difference between a girl and a boy. Generally, in all Asian countries, except Philippines, there is some discrimination among girl child and boy child, girl child and boy. And I have did this for Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, means save the girl child and educate the girl child. I have got the national level award. That is a byproduct, but I want to like to one incident which brought tears in my eyes even today. I have visited one village and I said that I want to meet a pregnant lady. So they said nowadays there is no pregnant lady in this village, very small village. But there is a lady who has just delivered a baby girl, and I said, okay, I want to meet her. Then I've gone there and I've seen she already had a child, and that was also a baby girl, and now again she has a baby girl. So it is like nobody would like to have a girl on and off as a second and third child. Everybody would like to have a son because of a patriarchal society and male-dominated society in India. So I met that lady, and she doesn't want to even show her child. I said I want to meet your little baby girl, and I want to greet you. Then with a great difficulty she came out, and she and her co-sister, her sister-in-law, they were staying together, and their husbands, they were working somewhere in the town to earn their livelihood. Because in India, generally male migrates. In Philippines, women migrate. In India, male migrate for the livelihood. So then she has started crying. So I said, why are you crying so much? So there is her mother-in-law, not real mother-in-law, but she is the aunt to her husband. She has started like abusing her. And I have a village elected head, we call it a sarpanch. So at that time, I have tears in my eyes, but I said, no, I don't want to shed the tears. I want to set a system. So I have told all the village chiefs head, whenever there is a birth of a girl child, after 40 days, you have to visit that family and you have to greet the girl. In India, there is a tradition that after 40 days, relatives will come to see and give gift to that child if there is a boy. But if there is a girl, no one would come. Still, I have tears in my eyes. I have told them as a village chief, you first visit if there is a birth of girl child, and you give some gift, small gift, some garment or some gift which has a utility for that girl child. And it has become a tradition in the district even today. Even today. And at the time we have a festival called Navratri. It is a 9 days where we worship the goddess to give us the power. I said, goddess, who is goddess? These little girls sent by the god, she is a goddess. And every 9 days we worship these girls. Not only we just welcome the girl, we give them gifts and we give them very good things. This is also the initiative, and this has been recognized by the government of India. And I have been given the award for this Save the Girl Child and Educate the Girl Child.
Thank you so much, Bhargavi, for sharing that. This is really an enlightening session for me personally. And I, in a way, I am grateful to have people like you, Bhargavi, sharing love for children. I can see a teacher in you. And I also admire your advocacy to help reduce the mortality rate of pregnant women. It is also an issue here in the Philippines. In our part, it's more on the pre-eclampsia on the medical side. But yeah, wow, amazing. Thank you. Yeah, so I've heard from all of our resource speakers that they actually have the innovation initiative already, and I know that there are also challenges of reaching to that point of success or achievement. And this is what we wanted to know: how were you able to develop your team, your organization, what did you need from the members, and what do you need from them, and what do they need from you?
Shall I tell or
Yeah. Who would you like to take that first? Nur-Ainee, would you like to, or Bhargavi, do you wanna?
no? Let Nur-Ainee say.
Okay.
And Myra also. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Nur-Ainee,
we can learn from each other.
yeah. So how were you able to develop this team?
Al Husna Foundation, you can say it's a volunteer-run organization. We run on a skeletal force of only 2 to 3, for example, permanent staff, but we are able to organize events all over the Philippines that maybe reach at least 10,000 people who attend at a time. This was pre-COVID, of course. And perhaps the one most important ingredient for the team I've successfully worked with is really the heart. Skills we can build, skills we can, we can educate, we can train, but there is really something about working with people who share the same passion, people who care for others as much as you do, or maybe even more. Your team that's able to look at the details that you might have missed. The team that's able to voice out their opinion, knowing that it will not be rejected. Being able to work with not really like-minded individuals, but the diversity is actually what makes it strong. I always tell my team, I don't want yes men, yes women. I need people who will challenge my ideas, who will challenge everyone's, who will contribute, who will add value. And for me, this is the single most important ingredient, to have a team that is not able to feel for the same passion, for the same vision, and work towards the same goal, have the capacity and the capability to do that, but also be able to work together as one unit.
Right. To have the heart and to have that sense of teamwork. Amazing. Can we hear something from Radha as well? How were you able to develop this team? What did you need from your team members, and what do they need from you?
Okay, it is very easy and very difficult question as well. I have already been in different team for last 30 years. Right now, I am leading the Global South Coalition for Dignified Menstruation. It is a global network to re-examine our past regards to human rights development and feminism, and reimagining our future. In our Global South Coalition, we have two kind of people, two kind of team members. One is the steering committee. That steering committee formed from the friend from Australia, Philippines, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, Uganda, America, UK, and Austria. These all people are voluntarily invited because the Global South Coalition itself is a volunteer campaign. And so we sent out the call for volunteer contribution for the secretariat, and then we received more than 60 applicants, and based on that, we chose and we started to work on it. The other one is the membership. Membership is a free membership. There should not be any kind of commitment. If anyone like to be part of the dignified menstruation campaign, the national, they organize national, regional, or global level, they just fill out the form available in the website, and then they can become the member. But from our side, especially from my side as a founder, this is my responsibility to educate about the dignified menstruation to secretariat members as well as the members of the coalition. For the secretariat members, we have a monthly meeting. We honestly, ethically, openly, we have a discussion. What we have been doing, what could be our issues in a country, what kind of research and advocacy we have to do it, and what are our long-term goals. That kind of things we discuss and update each other. For example, if any country like Sri Lankan friend asks me how could we incorporate the dignified menstruation in the COVID response. So it is different from other relief materials, or how could we integrate the dignified menstruation concept into the relief materials. So my role, I keep doing the research, I keep doing writing articles, journals, books around dignified menstruation, and then first I provided the information, the indicators. Second, I send the ebook for her so she can go through that book and she can find the indicators and contextualize according to her context. So this is the thing we have been doing. And then for the members, those who are only the members, they also need the information. I mean, we need, this is our responsibility, Secretariat Office responsibility, to educate them and to bring them on board. So we keep doing the trainings in between 2 months. We also keep sending the webinars. We have been doing the webinars fortnightly basis. And we keep inviting to attend that webinars. If they don't, if they could not attend that webinars, we also upload the webinars via the YouTube, and they will watch later. And in between, while we doing the research, we also invited them if they have any interest. For example, we have been doing the research right now, the dignified menstruation and the child marriage. We are trying to see the linkage, how the power construct within the boys and the girls, and how the menstrual discrimination encouraged or perpetrated for the child marriage. What is the relationship between that? So in that case, we send out the emails to all secretariat members and the member of the coalition, and hey, if you have any interest, if you have any expertise, please let us know, and you will be the part of the peer reviewer. So this is how we keep trying to hold them. What I understand from my 30 years experience, if there is no common goal, if there is no shared values, our team could not go on. Our dream could not achieve. We don't have a funding, we don't have a money. I'm working 100% volunteer, and it's, in some extent it is very challenging. But in other hand, it has making the great impact at the national, at the global, regional level. And let me give one example from my country. In my country, Nepal, the Ministry of Women, Children and Senior Citizen invited me as an expert member of the ministry. So from last year, I have been doing as an expert member in the ministry. And dignified menstruation is a signature program for the ministry. And since 2019, ministry also the part of the dignified menstruation day. And last year in 2020, the ministry also the co-host for the international workshop on dignified menstruation. So this is how we keep trying to educate the people. At this moment, this is a very overlooked, very challenging, very sideline issue. Many scholars, many people, many activists, many academicians consider that the menstrual discrimination is the issue of the Asia and Africa, because these people are illiterate or don't have a good education, or they are the poor. That is why this is the issue belong with the Asia and Africa, but that this is absolutely wrong. Even in the UK, the 9 women out of 10, I mean the menstruators, they experience the fear. See, we talk about the psychological well-being, dignity. How does the dignity come? How it construct? It construct from the fear. It construct from the pleasure or empathy or sympathy. How the person consider the circumstances, it depend on that. So even in the UK, 9 women still experience afraid to go outside for their school or work during the menstruation, and it is happening in the Australia as well. Out of 10, 8 girls don't like to go to the market to buy the menstrual product. So people think about giving the free menstrual pads is a dignity, or waiving or deducting the tax on the menstrual product is a menstrual dignity. No, it's not. Dignified menstruation is a life cycle approach. It starts from the womb, uterus to tomb. Even after the death in some cultures, you know why the people are, why not only the people, why this world is so much suffering in sex selective abortion, why it is happening, why the world is not giving the equal value to the girl child. It's because of the menstrual discrimination. It sounds strange, it sounds, oh no, Radha is making the exaggeration. You might think about in that way, but let me give the one example. In all religions, the major religion, I'm referring the major religions, Hinduism, Christianity, Muslim, and Buddhism. The major religions consider menstruation is impure, it's a dirty. That is why the girls consider themselves as a powerless, as inferior, as a dehumanized, disadvantaged since the childhood. At the age of the 5, 6, 7 years old, that time they don't have a menstruation, but they learn something from their mothers, aunties, sisters, media. For example, they may see the blood spot in the bathroom, or the advertisement in the television, or the pack or showcase of the menstrual product in the supermarket. So this is how they understand, and then they consider, oh, this needs to hide. If you keep talking about the hygiene all the time, there is a notion that the underlying principle, oh, the blood is dirty, blood is impure. That is why you have to hide. That is why you have to have the management. That kind of things she considered, and she saw herself as a inferior, powerless compared to her brother. In the other side, the boys or brother considered himself as a powerful, privileged. You know why? Because he knew that he never ever menstruated in his life, and he considered himself pure, and he started to misbehave to his sister, his mother, and eventually he became the perpetrators, and the daughter became the victim. The girl who cannot say no for the bad touch at home, she cannot say no to the teacher or friend in the school, she cannot say no in the workplace, and she cannot say no for the partner or husband. We means the global stakeholders spending a lot of money on the contraceptive, family planning, the sexual and reproductive health, so many things, but they still don't talk about the menstruation. Menstruation is a first entry point. If the girl cannot say about her menstruation, how could say, oh, I have unsafe sex, I need an emergency contraceptive, oh, this is the time for marriage, or I wanted to have only one child. That kind of decision she cannot make it. So this is the one side we have to understand. The other side, among the boys, if the boys doesn't understand, oh, I am here in this planet because of the menstruation, that means because of the woman. If the boys doesn't understand in that way, they constantly learn and violating or misusing their power at home, at school, at workplace, with the partner, and with the family, and throughout the life cycle. So this is the things we need to see very critically. My friends, the members country, they work on education, and then they need the information, they need the book chapter. How could they incorporate the dignified menstruation into the school? How the dignified menstruation friendly school look like? What are the indicators for it? And we need to have online training to them, to their team members. One of my friend working in the garment, she has a garment factory, and then the main owner of the garment factory asked the woman take birth control pills. I mean, to avoid the menstruation, the owner asked to take the pills, which is not really right. It's a violation of the human right of the workers, women workers. The second, there are so many side effects because the birth control pills are the hormones. So if the organization or workplace, no matter whether it is a university or the NGO or the garment factory or anywhere, it's not the dignified menstruation friendly, in that case, we cannot achieve the education for all, employment for all, or safe or improving sexual and reproductive rights, or promotion of the human right. We cannot achieve anything. So this is how we keep educating our secretariat members and the general members to build the team, to take the ownership, to share our values, to share our overall goal. At the end of the day, we are looking for the equal society, but we never, the global community never talk, never have a dialogue on the menstruation. And that menstruation, whenever we start to talk, they talk from the perspective of the academia, from the perspective of the anthropology, from the perspective of the hygiene. They never talk from the perspective of the dignity. The dignity gives a diverse aspect of the menstruation. For example, we all are women here, I think, except Alvin. Majority of the women here, the woman, wherever she stands, she has a strong connection, significant connection with the health, education, or environment, or the politics, economics, society, or culture. So everywhere, wherever she belongs, there is an importance of the dignified menstruation or menstrual dignity. So that is why it is a very holistic approach, where see the menstruation from the perspective of the human right and life cycle approach. It's not about the 5 days bleeding. It's not about the 60 ml blood. It's not about the woman's private issue. It urges change the narratives from impurity to purity, from hygiene to dignity, from women's issue to everyone issue, from private issue to public or political issue, and beyond the gender lens, beyond the gender policy. So this is how, this is very holistic approach. And no matter what kind of project you have been doing, it belongs with you. So that is why the team building is a very critical in this coalition. It is very difficult because of not having the funding and the organization. There are in this world, there are very big organizations. They spend a lot of money for research and the training around the gender-based violence, around the sexual and reproductive health, around the human right, but they never touch the dignity in both private, the NGOs and the government. That is why we suffer a lot. So first, educate about the urgency about the issue, and then building their capacity, and bringing them as a leader. Next year, if everything is going well, we are thinking to change out the team portfolio. And last year we had a workshop, international workshop on dignified menstruation in Nepal, where 70 organizations are the partner, including our Cognition Plus. And this year, in December 8th, we will have a conference on dignified menopause. That means dignified menopause is a human right, not a privilege. So
Yes.
I'm finishing. If any of you like to join that conference, you can find the concept note in website, or you can visit the Global South Coalition for Dignified Menstruation Facebook page for details. I think you want to stop me. That's all right now. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Radha. I totally agree with you. It's proper education and acceptance. And I know, yeah, it may seem that you are far from reaching the ultimate goal, but I can see that the Global South Coalition for Dignified Menstruation is a well-established organization. I can see that. And asking help from countries with common goals and assistance, common goals and values. I feel positive that you would really get there, especially with your leadership. Thank you so much, Brada, for that. Yeah, how about you, Myra? How did you develop your team? What is the assistance that they needed from you, and what did you need from them?
I think it's an ongoing process. Just as I mentioned earlier, the volunteer group, as Ms. Lim has also mentioned earlier, we're currently operating on a volunteer basis. So most of the volunteers of the group at the moment would be students. So it's quite amazing to see how the youth are very active in this advocacy, especially regarding mental health. I think it's because they are more informed about the importance of mental health, what mental health is, being aware, since they are at the age of social media, and it's very important to incorporate the youth in this advocacy. So right now we're still trying to see what kind of volunteers we need to attract to maintain the advocacy and everything else. But I really am planning to work on this as a social enterprise. So especially since we are also catering to helping local businesses promote their products and their services, I really would want to see this as an organization that can support local businesses even after our lifespan. So I want to leave a definite impact in this sense. So in terms of volunteers, right now we have high school students, and that's very interesting to learn from them because they're more woke, quote unquote, in the culture of the Philippines. They're more updated regarding to what can work to attract audiences in terms of online events. We haven't really seen each other face to face because we were formed during the pandemic. So I'm looking forward to team building sessions with them. And I think what they need from me is leadership in essence, and also resilience. And this is something that I also want to impart to my members or to the organization, that we provide a safe space for everybody. And if that means that you need to take a break from the organization or from your tasks, it's okay. Because I have seen settings or rules, policies in work settings that are quite harmful to an employee. And we forget that human capital is the asset of any organization. So I mentioned to them, if you need to take a break, do inform us. Rest is not rest is not what they call this, a reward. This is one of the things that I also abide by, especially since my friend has pointed it out to me. Rest is not a reward, it is required. And I think that goes for everybody here. I know that we as women have a long fight and journey with our own advocacies and personal missions. But rest is a requirement. And although we can be, innovative and creative, we cannot do that 24/7. So I think that also follows the motto that I need to lead by example. And if that means I need to take a break, I have to inform my members that, hey, I'm taking, a weekday off or this week just to step aside and do my thing outside the org. So I hope that answers the question. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks so much, Myra. Right, so leadership and resilience, and I guess it's right to tap also youth. It's sort of like start helping them start early. So yeah, that's amazing. Okay, we'd love to hear from you too, Bhargavi. How are you able to or develop this team, and what are the things that they needed from you and you needed from
Thank
them?
you. For the team building, generally I am in a government service, and every 3 to 4 years, between 2.5 years to 4 years, we are supposed to get transfer from one posting to other posting, or one district to other district, or from one department to other department. So wherever we go, we have to make our team, and it is not an easy job, because the moment you enter, you have certain ideas in your minds. So you have to, first of all, you have to share with your co-workers. So what happens, that the moment you enter in a government service or anywhere in the organization, there are some good people, bad people, some are outstanding performers, some are average, some some are willing to do extra, some are willing to do extra work also. So first of all, wherever I go and whatever assignment I have, we just sit together. All the, like, we in a government there is a great hierarchy, like a class 3 and 2 and 1. So I said, dissolve all the hierarchy. We are a team. More than that, we are a family, and we are here to do something good to the society and to the public at a large. So first of all, we have to convince them, and then I have to share my ideas. Then it's a, like an exercise. So we have to involve them, and we have to we have to uh, like we have to create such an atmosphere so they will also start share ideas, their experiences, and on the basis of that, we make a strategy, that if I want today save the girl child or educate the girl child, or if I want to do something for the farmers as an agri startup, so what are our basic, what can we do? And you are the expert person. I am an administrator. I have an experience, everything. But you are the person belong to that particular field, either health, education, or maybe agriculture or animal husbandry. Then they will slowly and gradually they will start speaking. So there will be like a ice breaking session at AIM, that kind of ice breaking session when we join in our new office. And then we pick up the person who are interested, we motivate them, we do a lot of coaching to them. Then we find out a strategy, that how can we achieve our goal, and how we can reach to the marginalized people, or the up to the last mile, how we can reach. So then we will, it is not like we don't write everything, it is not on black and white, but it's an understanding. And it's an it is called an trust begets trust. It's a trust based relationship. Basis on that, we create a team, and after that they open up in such a way that they also give very good ideas. We have a like big picture, but then that big picture will be converted into a small picture, exactly the task, and then the big job we divide into the small task. And then why we are doing it, for what we are doing it, and for whom we are doing it. That is the most important thing. That all the question we'll ask, then we'll go to the our block level or at the village level, and we start the pilot project. When we are successful in a pilot project, then we go for the in all the blocks in across the district or across the department. So team building is very important. Here we have to act like a leader, not like a boss. In a government, there is such a hierarchy that you are a boss. But I said I am not a boss. I'm just senior. I have just passed the exam. It's okay. But many people don't have get chance. They don't have got opportunity. So they are there. It's okay. But everyone has some ideas, some thoughts in their mind. So this way we make up the team. We make up our own team, and then we say, my boss commands. I am not boss. I will not command. It's a leader who boss. It's a leader. Boss is always demanding. So I'm not a boss. I am a leader. I'll command, and you tell me what to do. And leadership is, I think, like sometimes it's a natural also. And as my family member and other my colleague and all says that you are a born leader. Wherever something goes wrong or like it's a quality right from the childhood I have, and it helps me a lot. And team making and team building is the most important thing. And whenever we got the award, I'll make sure that I'll take my concerned officer with me. It is not me who just sitting hold the cake. It is you. And wherever we receive any recognition, appreciation, or anything, it's a teamwork. It's a team, not me. I'm just a person who has some guide, who has guided you, motivated you. It's okay. But without team, you cannot achieve anything anywhere in the world, whether it's a corporate sector or a government sector, or whether it's a non-government sector or a voluntary organization. That is very sure. And the one thing I like very much in AIM, that is the leadership, bridging the leadership course. That I like very much. So this is how I build my team. We get when once the team is built, that I don't give them liberty. It is their liberty to work within the budget and within the scheme, and to share the idea and brainstorming. We do lot of brainstorming, and then because of this, we are able to achieve all the projects. I'll say, okay, if I have this saved the many girl child, because million of girls they are missing in India and China. Our Nobel Prize winner economics, Dr. Amartya Sen, has written a very good article on it. So India had a introduce a act, preconception and prenatal diagnostic technique act in 1994. So when I came to AIM, I don't know that other countries don't have this kind of act. So when I asked one of my one of my classmate ID, so he said my wife is pregnant and we are going to have a boy. So I said, how do you know? Okay, we know. But in India, if there is a girl, there is a chances of what you call this. They compel family and other. They compel them to abort the girl child. So millions of daughters missing. So you don't imagine in nobody has booked any doctor in last 2 decades, but booked all 5 doctors under PCP and DET Act, and they are still in jail. And I said you are worse than a criminal person because you are aborting a girl child who has a right to born. So all this, for all these things, you have to motivate your team up to the grassroots level. Our grassroots worker or accredited social health worker, we called it ASHA. So she will tell that which doctors they are practicing this kind of thing. And there is a code word like Lord Krishna. So they said Jai Krishna if there is a boy. If there is a girl, they like goddess, so they will say Jai Mataji. Then if they are, then that code word is also came to known by everybody. Then they say it's good, then it's a boy. Not good, then it's a girl. Then we find out this kind of a doctor, their conversation and everything. And we have booked 5 doctors who are doing these practices of prenatal sex determination. So for that, you need a team. Single, just by having the power, just by knowing the act, you can't do it. You have to involve your team. You have to make them aware, and you have to make them proud of what they are doing. So every person is important in any system. So this is my approach, and that's why I have been achieved many things, and the credit goes to the grassroots level functionaries.
I love that, Bhargavi. I love that when you said that it's not just a team, but it's a family. And what you did is, based on my understanding, is really empowering the members of your team, finding the strengths, acknowledging their strengths, and having that sense of trust that they can contribute based on the strengths, based on the passion that they have. Amazing. Okay, so let me go on to the next question. I know we have aspiring leaders with us here on Zoom, aspiring leaders who are already leaders. In one way or another, as leaders, I know that we face significant challenges. We would want to know, we would want to learn from you. What helped you cope with these challenges briefly? Share with us, help us. There are leaders out here who are also with us. Radha, what helped you cope with with the challenges? What kept you going?
Yeah, while we talk about the challenges, we need to recall our challenges as well. In my case, I am the war survivor. I am the survivor of the menstrual discrimination and survivor of other forms of gender-based violence. So in this scenario, in my 30 years official journey, I experienced blaming, exclusion, arrest, life killing threatened, and funding. No one like to listen or having a partnership. So these are the major challenges. So in the individual level, the frustration, the depression, the feeling of excluded, feeling of isolation, that kind of things, I usually, for addressing that kind of thing, I usually follow the couple of things. It's not a regular, but it's a very common in my life. I keep continuing of reading the leaders whom I trust or who are my role model. I keep traveling a lot in the rural parts of the country to understand the stories, the pain, the suffering. Their pain, their suffering are my inspiration. So whenever I frustrated or in depression, I keep thinking whom I represented. What should I do? So that kind of things keep allowing me to move forward. And I often writing the poems, writing the diaries, writing articles. If I received so much exclusion in the public sphere, and then I wrote in my personal blog that gives the few people start to visit this, and if possible, I publish in the national article, mainstreaming article, sometimes in English, sometimes in Nepali. So these kind of things gives me energy to move forward. These are the personal level coping mechanism, and I always listen. I always listen the people why they are doing this kind of things. Is there because of the ignorance? Is there because of the competition? Is there because of the overlooked or underestimated? So based on that, I choose my strategy. And very soon, we will be launching another book. It's called Dignified Menstruation for Girls with Neurodevelopmental Disorders, because there is no book for the disabled menstruators. That is why we learn that kind of things from the complaint, from the ignorance, and this is how we come up with this strategy. This is the things is in the micro level or personal level. In the macro level, it's very difficult to overcome, because all in all, the money matters. If you cannot spend the money, it is difficult. In Nepali context, I'm unmarried woman, which is very unusual in Nepali context. Coming from the poor rural family background, not from Kathmandu, non-political connection person, it's a very, very challenging. And the subject is itself very challenging. No one like to talk it. It's a taboo subject, the dignified mensuration. If you distribute the menstrual pad, it is very easy. No one hurt. But if you talk about the dignified mensuration, you have to talk about the religion. You have to challenge the culture. You have to show as a role model. So this is very difficult. That is why we find out the allies who are working somehow with us. For example, the people who are working around the human right, and they could be our ally. The people who are working around the sexual and reproductive health, they also could be our ally. So this is how we find out the ally, and then we have an informal meeting with them in the beginning, and gradually the formal meeting and the formal program. This is how we have been doing. For the Ministry of the Women and Children, usually people become the expert member from their lobbying, from the political connection, or from other connection. But in my case, I simply visited the minister to address the one very peculiar case from the West Nepal, which is a very visible case of the menstrual discrimination. And then I went there with the evidences, and then I explain about me, my campaign, and the issue, and then the way forward. And finally, the minister agreed to address that issue. And later, about years, he asked me to work as an expert member in the ministry. So in the macro level, without evidence, you cannot talk it. Without the logic. So I always encourage to my team members and myself to generate the evidences. For example, before starting the coalition, and many people thought that this is not the issue for the global north, that means the developed country. And then what we did, if you go through the website, you can find it under the resources sub-menu. We do the Google research and find out the country-wise practices around the mensuration. Because we cannot buy the big research journals. We cannot hire the high-paid quality researchers. So simply we collected the information and then we develop the report. And we also keep doing the online survey. We also do the small research in different parts of the country. And we also encourage our team members to do the same thing. So this is how we keep generating the evidences for our lobby and advocacy at the global level and national level with the different types of stakeholders. And another important thing, why we are doing the fortnightly webinar, because this is also another way of reaching out the people, educating the people. Without education, we cannot bring the people on board. So through the coalition's fortnightly webinar program, we keep bringing the people across the globe, and friends from Cambodia, Vietnam, Philippines. Next week, July 13th, friends from Philippines and from Bangladesh, they will have a conversation on dignified menstruation from the perspective of the corporate sector or private sector. So constantly engaging them means the people who are working as a religious leader, the private sector, the academia, the NGOs. So from each walk of life, every walk of life, we try to engage. In August 1st, we'll have a conversation with the Buddhist religious leader, Nam, from Bhutan. And then next, after 2 weeks later, from Cambodia. So this is how we try to reach out the people's minds and hearts to bring them on board. So this is a very difficult. You may not understand what I'm trying to say because of the scope of the work and the nature of the organization. Our goal is to onboard the UN, onboard the grassroots level activism. We keep doing even now. But right now, at this moment, our goal is to reach out the global stakeholders. That is why we are trying to reach out through the blog, through the campaign, through the social media, through the webinars, through the evidences, and we also developing the statements. We will be releasing very soon statements on dignified menstruation, and then that statements translated in different local language. For example, Tagalog, the Bengali, Urdu. Those who are working as a committee, they translate it, and then we are developing the posters. So this is how we are trying to reach out as much as global level stakeholders. So this is all the practical tips. We have gone through the different type of analysis for the stakeholder, how to make the ally, how to start the dialogue, negotiation. But in real life, the final thing is the money. And people don't like to give the money, or they don't like to change their status quo. They don't like to cross the comfort zone, and it is very difficult. I'm really thankful with the corona, because the corona, it is easier to reach out the people through the virtual world. Earlier in Nepal, people don't like to have a virtual communication. Oh, let's meet, and the meeting is also the expensive for me, time-wise, the money-wise. It's really difficult. But right now, if anyone like to meet me, it is very easy. Even the government invited to the virtual meeting. So I'm very much thankful with the corona. I think I stop here and will come back again.
Thank you so much, Radha. I can just imagine the challenge of organizing a global organization. And thank you for sharing with us how you cope with these challenges. Writing, I do agree with you. It's a great outlet, and finding inspiration to leaders and inspiration to people who shares the same sufferings. Thank you so much, Radha, for sharing that personal tip on how to cope up with challenges. I also would like to hear from Nur-Ainee. So how do you cope up with the challenges?
The thing is, I look at challenges as a natural checkpoint, the proverbial fork in the road, where it gives you an opportunity to really reflect where you are right now, where do you stand, where do you want to be, and this challenge is a reminder that either there is something you need to improve on, or the world has changed as you know it, and you have to rise to the occasion. You have to be consistently ready for the surprises in life. One of the major challenges that we faced as an organization in Al Husna Foundation Incorporated was losing our president last year. And he had led the organization from its inception for the past 5 years. And all the innovation, everything was led by him, and we were able to train under him as our mentor. He was our mentor. So what did he keep telling us? He said, my leadership style is to make myself dispensable. I would not have been able to do my mission if you still need me. And he said this over and over and over again. And he was so young, so you would think you would always have him for decades, you know? So when he said, when he had a sudden death, we had to quickly just try to make sense of where to take the organization, how to rearrange internally, and also how to set our external partnerships as well. So whenever there are challenges, it can only be of two things. Either there's something you can do about it, then it's just information, a piece of history. But if there's something you can do about it, then this is a test of leadership, of resilience, wherein you would actually be able to see that you had more than you thought you had. So it really takes a lot of trust, a lot of deep diving from within, and talking about these challenges to other people. Because at the end of the day, nobody really knows what your organization is going through unless you talk about it. Communication is key. Transparency within the organization and outside, that is very important. So in order to overcome challenges, we have to first check where we are, what can we do about it? If we can do something about it, then do it with the right people, with the right strategy, innovate, and hopefully you will get success with the right ingredients with you.
Excellent, Nur-Ainee. Yeah, communication, transparency, and to be able to step back to see the bigger picture. Amazing. Myra, how do you cope up with this challenge? I know that you have just started building your organization, establishing your organization. There may be hiccups in between, but I can see you're doing great. How do you cope up with the challenges?
Thank you for mentioning that you're doing great. We're actually on hiatus at the moment, so we would come back on our anniversary in August. And hearing Radha and Rani and Miss Bhargavi talk about their experiences in leadership, it makes me feel like I'm a baby. It makes me feel like I'm really in the right place, because previously in the organization, they see me as like the, what do you call this? The, as Ms. Margavi has mentioned, the hierarchy. We cannot really implement the said hierarchy because that's not my leadership style. So I can also relate. And with Mr. Rani, the one that she mentioned, that leadership would aim that everybody would share their talents and their skills, so that not all decisions would rely on just one person. So I would also want my members in the organization to move based on how people would want to create the organization. It follows a certain vision, but how to get there, I would leave it to the people involved. I don't want to be so set on it so that I would just be frustrated and I would just be, you know. But in terms of challenges, I think team building is very difficult, especially since we started during the pandemic. And most team buildings that I have been used to are in person. And since one good thing about it though is we have virtual platforms. So we do have a kamustahan session. In cultural context, kamusta is a translation of how are you. So we plan to do this twice a month, and we just ask members to attend if they're okay. And we talk about things outside the organization, how the students are doing in terms of their schoolwork. Some people complain to us regarding their school stuff, while the employees in the organization or people who are working outside the organization talk about their work life. So we have games, we have sharing session. So I think that's one of a good coping in terms of the team. In terms of individual, I also agree with Ms. Rada for writing. Yeah, writing is a big coping mechanism for me as well. And communicating, as Ms. Naranya has mentioned, it was quite difficult for me to start communicating to people outside the org about my concerns related to the org, because it felt like I was just complaining. But I also discovered that people outside the org can see things without being subjective or without having bias. So they can give you good input. They could give you good insights that you have missed. And I'm still improving on that part because I'm so used to keeping to myself, and it's quite also challenging to have a big vision and not knowing where to step next, because it's so new to me. It's so new to my current system that inventing the steps or the staircase is daunting. So having these kinds of sessions is making me a little more confident to, step outside the comfort zone. As Miss Rada has mentioned, it is very difficult to see the staircase if you're supposed to create that staircase. So there. So I hope I answered that question.
Of course. So what Myra did is to just keep on learning. As she said, she's quite new with this and taking one step at a time. Yeah, especially for starting leaders. Do not be hard on yourself. You're gonna get there. Everyone started with nothing. Okay, so before we open the floor to the Q&A, let me go to the final question for this discussion. So from this conversation that we have, from all of these learnings, what ideas does this experience or this discussion spark for other possible prototyping or scaling up? Bhargavi, would you like to
Yeah,
start?
yeah, thank you. So I would like to tell that we are working in a government, so it's a set organization and everything. So we also face a lot of challenges. We are working for the people. At the same time, we have to keep align our goals with the elected officials, as well as there is a media, print and electronic media. So we have to work with such a great integrity and transparency. So there is a less chance of conflict of interest. So that is the main thing. And if you are working with a transparency, and if you have an integrity, I think the problem slowly and gradually the problem will be less. And in my initial year of careers, I was little, when you are young, you are too much. You are very strong-headed, no? But slowly and gradually, I learned that we are a bureaucrat and there is a elected official also. So how to keep balance? That is most important. And whenever I initiate a project, I'll do it very silently. And once it get momentum, and once it is accepted by the bureaucracy, by the community, and when it is accepted by the higher authorities, as well as press is also starting taking not good note of it, then it would be easier for us. So I believe in not in a big bang theory to change everything overnight, slowly and gradually. Like our Mahatma Gandhi, they used to say, slowly and gradually you can shake the world, and they will realize it afterwards that what you did, but before it that thing has been done. So that what I have learned. And about the question you are asking about the prototype and how you can replicate the project, because almost all the Asian countries are same. So we have the problem of malnutrition, we have the same problem of health related issues, health hygiene, education, about the girl child education. So there are some projects which can be replicated. So we can make a big framework and we can share with each other. And looking to the circumstances, looking to the cultural and social pattern, as well as the political will, we can implement the things. Like Radha has told very nice thing. I am also doing about the safe menstruation. And Radha, you would love to hear that we have a project called Urban, where we have to provide the urban amenities in rural area. So in that we have a 16 cluster. In all 16 cluster, we have taken a project of production of sanitary napkin by the women self-help group. So uh, today we learn a lot, and we came about each other's project and how they have implemented it. So if we can share it on a mail, 2-3 projects and their framework, I think looking to the circumstances, and I have mentioned all these things, political ways, socio-economic, cultural thing, we can sure replicate certain things with some modification. But if we aim, we can able to do it. It's doable.
Thank you so much, Bhargavi. How about Radha? Is there an additional from the big organization that you're handling right now? Uh, other possible prototyping or scaling up?
I really don't have anything. Thank you, Bhargavi, for letting me know about the menstrual hygiene project. We also have we also have been doing the same since 2014, when we also have a partnership with the Akar Innovation, Bombay, India, for the biodegradable sanitary pad. our women's group are taking leadership on that. In terms of the prototyping, it is difficult to say whether it is exactly the prototyping or not. As earlier colleagues, Myra said, we need to build the leadership, and that leadership is possible from the passionate people. Without having passion, we cannot hold the people for a longer time. And no matter where we are working, whether government or NGO or big financial transaction NGO, something like that, at some point we need the passion, and at some point we need the volunteers. And I always allow people to assess about our work, about our activities, and based on that they can become they can engage as a volunteer, as a paid volunteer, or distance volunteer, and then based on that we can build the leadership at the national, at the global level. So there is no I keep saying since the beginning, my journey, my leadership journey is totally the out of the track. I often use the word of the blue ocean strategy. I don't know how much familiar with you all. In the blue ocean strategy, there is no competitor, and it starts from the scratch. So everything I started from my personal story, and then I see the same kind of stories across the country and across the globe, and I'm trying to bringing the people on board. So that is very possible from the young people. If we have the young, passionate people, we can make it happen. We can bring the money, we can write the proposal, we can link with the social business. That means the entrepreneurships, self-sustaining model. So this is how I am thinking. And not only the thinking, I'm practicing. This is the practicing. The whatever I share today, this is all I'm sharing from the practice instead of the textbook. Usually you don't find in the textbook as well. And the prototyping, there is no exactly prototyping. I always work with the people, and they like me, I like them, and then later they become the leader. I don't care about the age, I don't care about the experience, I don't care about whether they have the gray hair or not, or country or color or anything. The driving force is a miteri. Miteri is no one, every life is very precious, and no one born by choice. This is the super inner driving force. So this is why anyone can join, and then if we have a same chemistry, we can work together, and this is our prototype. It's a fun. It's a beyond the box of the textbook.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Radha, for that. Nur-Ainee, from our discussion, any thought of scaling up on what you currently do, or some possible prototyping?
Yes, actually, I want to share just one project that I was involved in when I was at AIM. We developed the first ever development hackathon, using bridging technology with the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, trying to come up with innovative solution on disaster risk management, health, education, eradicating poverty. And what happened was, I was the team lead for that event. After we graduated, we partnered with Asian Development Bank. And now it's an AIM ADB initiative that goes on every year. And it is an ongoing project trying to come up with innovations within the ADB as an org for their internal systems, and also in the development field. And I am not anymore part of that project. I have moved on. And now I'm instilling the same type of positivity, that from a small project, it can easily scale up just start it, just do it, you know. And now I'm innovating in fields of, for example, in peace and sustainable development with women around the Bangsamoro areas, partnering with the Office of the Presidential Advisor on the peace process. We're activating innovation labs, and then I'm also in the process of coming up with a project on investing human capital and management training for the religious sector, you know, capacitating them and using their massive, massive untapped influence for good. They are going to be the next generation of development managers, you know. So this is just something that, you know, that I get inspiration from my faith as a Muslim woman, as someone born and raised here in Mindanao. And I'm just trying to work with everyone. It doesn't matter the religious background. It doesn't matter where they come from. As long as we want to do good, then we can work together. So in terms of scaling, I am so positive because just by talking about it, just with a select few women, 2-3 days ago, we had this workshop nearby, 17 women, and each one had thousands behind them as their network. And you speak and they are inspired. And that is all the scaling that and traction and the momentum that we just have to, you know, not let go of. I know there is a concept of burning out. There is a concept of, you know, needing rest. That is true. Self-care is important. But one thing that really makes you feel alive is that sense of fulfillment. You know, that with every breath that you still have, that is an opportunity to make a difference. And that is so precious. That is so precious. And we have to celebrate life and be an agent for good until our last day on earth. So I hope wherever scale, whatever scope we are able to reach in our lifetime, hopefully it would be more than enough, because it's never about the end goal, but the process and the change that you're able to make in your lifetime.
Excellent, Nur-Ainee. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. How about you, Myra? Any spark of possible scaling up, or you just wanted to focus on what you have right now and build one step at a time?
For scaling, I think we want to provide mental health services to Filipinos in general in national context. But right now, as mentioned, we are focused on the Cordilleras. So partnering with the right institutions and the right people with, as Ms. Nur-Ainee has mentioned, with the right mission or the right goal in mind and to do good. I think that's a good foundation for any organization to thrive even after leaders have, passed or gone or have moved on to the next chapter of their lives. And in terms of learning for this session, a lot. I would have a lot of pages on my journal about this session. But yeah, the technicalities, I think we could learn them along the way. But the heart of actually helping people and having an impact, whether that be one person, 100 or 1,000, as Mr. Ranias mentioned, and as I have also been refreshed today, even if you have just received one thank you, the scale of your impact on another person would be measured by how many people they inspire outside the organization, outside the project that you've made, outside the event that you have created. And hopefully that would last them long enough to create another project that would also impact more people. So I think it's a ripple effect. And thank you for allowing us to brainstorm and to connect. And this energy is hopefully would last us longer than we know before we burn out and before we really need to step back. So thank you very much for allowing me to be a part of this.
Thank you, and it is our pleasure. We have a few more minutes to go. I am going to open the floor now for probably 2 to 3 questions for our resource speakers. If you have any questions, just feel free to type it on the chat box, and I would be glad to read it aloud for our resource speakers. Just give them a few moments to compose their questions.
I'd like to take this opportunity, Ma'am Puela, to just thank the organization, Cognitio, and all my co-panel, Ma'am Radha, Ma'am Bhargavi, and Myra, and all the strong women and men who have tuned in to listen to what's the trends and what's going on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nur-Ainee. It is our pleasure.
Thank you, Nur-Ainee, and everyone. I also joined the hands with you. I'm so happy to connect with all speakers. And thank you so much, Alvin, Paula, and everyone for joining this. And if you have any questions or anything, please feel free to drop the message.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, it is our pleasure, Radha.
I would also like to thank everyone and my co-speaker Radha. I have heard your name a lot today. I have listened a lot from you. It's very inspiring. And Myra, you are a very young and promising girl and doing a great job. And Nur-Ainee, I am really proud of you, the way you are running your organization. And thank you. Am I pronouncing your name right or not? Puela?
Puela, yes.
So I'm very thankful to you. You have run it in a very well manner and very structured program. And you already given us question and all. And I would like to also share that in future also, if we can this kind of a program, it will be a learning process and experience sharing and know about the best practices of the Asian countries, because almost we are the same. And this century, it will be the century of Asia. So if we work together, then we can help in eradicate poverty, bring equality, bring all the marginalized people in the mainstream, and build a better society and a better environment. That is our goal. And together we can achieve it. And we all are change agents, but if we will join the hands, we'll bring a greater change in the system. So thanks a lot, everyone. And it's a pleasure for me to know each other and learn your ideas and the way you are working. And I'd like to thank my classmate Alvin also. He has given me this. So thank you, Alvin. So thank you, everybody. And a happy Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bhargavi. Now I see one question. What process do you implement to make passive or shy women transform into go-getters? Shy women who want to be a go-getters. How do we transform them? Anyone can answer this question.
Okay, let me jump in.
Yes, Radha.
There is no exactly process indeed. Even now, I'm the introverted person. I really don't like to talk if I don't feel the safe space. For a long time, I struggle within myself, and I think I was waited till my age 16. I was waited. Oh, my sisters would do, my teacher would do, my father, my mother would do something like that. Later I realized that no one will do for me. I joined the bilateral organization, British government, DFID. I think many of you are aware about it. I worked in the government of Nepal when I was only 19 years old. So I keep waiting for the seniors, the family members in office, someone very smart who have a very so-called beauty, handsome, good English. So in one point, I realized, no, it's not right. It's not right. I have to speak. My stories should heard, and no one can share my story. This is how I started to speak. And you know, one thing I really like to share, and you may like it. In 2009, my mom passed away. passed away, and according to our culture, I think it's the same in Bhargavi in India and many cultures, in many cultures across the globe. During the parental funeral, the girls supposed to not attend, not participate. But I found that it is a very serious form of violation of the cultural right of mine. And then my mother died only one time. There was no second chance. So it was very tough. I was the fourth girl child. I have a younger brother as well. So I took a lead role to perform the death ritual in 2009. So I break the stereotyping gender norms in my community, and since then it become a norm that if anyone die in the community, all men and women started to join simultaneously without any discrimination. So this is how your idea, your behavior, your mindset defined by the pain. The pain also define your passion. Either you have to revolt, you revolt from the pain and you become the strong leader or going ahead or social transformational leader, or you just depressed from that pain. This is how I saw. So that is why how do you see the things is happening around you? If you see empathetically, oh, this could be happen on me as well. If I were in that place, what would be my reaction? How would I live? So if you think in that way, the passion, you can feel the pain, and then passion comes, and then from that your attitude reconstruct or mindset reconstruct, right? And then once you finish one agenda, there is another agenda already there, because your goal is the very high. It's like a moon, and there are so many things in pile up, they are in a queue. That is why your agenda never finish, and because of your accomplishment, because of your style, because of your passion and mindset, you keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. I never think in my life, in my family, in my community, that I can travel abroad. I can speak like this. I can present in a even sit at the highest level of the meeting. So the confidence and the passion, it really the keep coming. It depends on your how do you see the things around you. Thank you.
Thanks, Radha. To have that confidence and passion, one may be able to first be comfortable sharing their own story. I think that's where everything. That's the start of everything for a shy woman to be a go-getter. Just be comfortable sharing their personal story. Okay, we have another question. Can you give us an advice as aspiring young women how to be great and strong leader in the future? Who would want to take that?
I would like to take that.
Yes, Bhargavi, go ahead.
See, when we started our career, we all are young.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't, but whenever you enter in your career or whatever you want to do, you do with all the integrity and you with all your passion, as Radha has told. You have to put your passion in your work, and then it would become easier. So strong and everything is, it will come automatically once you start working. I like strong means what? Once you start working, you keep your principle. You work for the community. You are working to reach the last mile. You have a sound integrity. So these all things makes you strong. Strong means it's not like some metal that you just put it on your body or in your heart or in your mind. It is your thought. It is your act. It is your willingness to work. And it will slowly and gradually make you strong. Immediately, no one is strong. In the initial career, in the initial year, you are learning. You are just come out of from the college or university. So you are a fresher. And you are in now you are in the system, whether it's a corporate, whether it's a voluntary organization, or whether it's a government sector. The moment you enter, you should have a very clear goal in your minds right from the beginning. Then it would be easier, and it is the circumstances and it is the event which make you strong. Strong means we can't put on strong something, we can't add strong. It is the inbuilt thing. And slowly and gradually it will be developed if you are following your own principle. And I always say, I live what I believe. As Radha has told about the Ras rituals, in 1997, I did the Ras rituals of my father. And last year in 2020, I did the Ras ritual of my mother, even though I have a brother. And they have cooperated also. So it's your thinking. It's your you have to put your idea into action. And it is not an easy thing to pass through all this journey. There are many hurdles. And I think this is the hurdle which make you strong. Just put away each hurdle slowly, gradually, and then you will become strong. Strong is something.
Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Bhargavi. We are down to the last two questions. We would love to entertain all of the questions, but due to the limited amount of time, please feel free to send us a private message on Cognition Plus, and we will find a way to relay these questions to our resource speakers. We have a question specifically addressed to Myra. As a psych major myself, I thought of coming up with an idea of doing a voluntary work of helping victims of domestic violence, abused women and children. Can you give me some tip or advice on how to start such humble sort of light worker mission on spreading light and sharing gift of healing among victims of VAWC, to be specific?
Thank you. And that's a major question to be asked during this kind of discussion. There are a lot of factors you would have to consider, especially since you already have target audience or target beneficiaries in this context. People, especially those who have experienced VAUSI, would take a long time to open up about their story. And if this is your personal story, I think it would also be important for you if ever you'd like to discuss this after this session with Miss Rada and other speakers, because if you have a personal story attached to a mission, you should process first your emotions about it. There's a healthy way of doing it, and if this is brought about by trauma, it might be worse for you in the long run if you haven't recognized everything attached to the story. And this is me speaking as a psychologist. So there's a fine line first of identifying if this is your story. It's best to process it on an individual level before attacking or giving a program related to that kind of topic. It is very emotionally loaded, and that's why I have mentioned this as a tip or advice. If this is your story, if it is not related to any personal experience, I think partnering with the right people and having a mentor, not just a coach, having a mentor to discuss this topic would be very essential for you, so that you can also learn factors and characteristics of your target project that would be in line with the stakeholders. So it might just be, a good vision or a good mission at the moment, but in terms of other factors such as who are you tapped to into, or who are your partner organizations, your partner professionals, you would already have a lot of networking done. So right now, for the basics, I think if that's your personal question or concern, if it's based on experience, process it holistically and healthily. If it's not your story, networking would be the initial step. tapping into the right organizations, connecting with the right people, so that you get to see a framework of what you're wanting to do. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Myra. And on to the last question addressed to Nur-Ainee. Most people know that there are issues affecting Muslims in the Mindanao region in the Philippines, like many province residents who seek the capital city for improvement of life. Do you have projects concerning women Muslim in Manila city, particularly in Quiapo, known where Muslim and Christian live harmoniously?
Um, I don't know if you remember, back in 2018, 2019, there was an event called Building Bridges, where we had an event in Moa Arena. 10,000 Muslims and non-Muslims were invited to attend. It was a peace building convention. And after that, we also had a program in Davao City where we invited 300 from the religious sectors, and they were trained in strategy, visioning, so that when they go back to their respective communities, they bring along that vision and they are able to activate it in their own capacity. So we had representatives from Quiapo, from Luzon, Visayas, and also in Mindanao. Now, as you asked, particularly on women, I am actually in the process of organizing women, not just in Mindanao, but all over the Philippines, to serve the peace agenda. The thing is, we cannot do this alone. Not one sector, not just women. We have to talk to everyone. But there is really strength and power in women. That is just a force to be reckoned with. And if we are just able to unite and, be able to work as a collective, you will see that the situation would change immediately. In Al Husna Foundation, we have the concept of micro and macro. We have programs that address micro and short term, and we also have programs that are macro, a whole nation initiative to enhance, that solidarity, that whether you're from Mindanao, Luzon, and Visayas, we are all under one banner. So I hope this answers your question. We just have to keep doing what we do best, and that is inspiring others, that is to not stop doing what they do best. And third, we have to work together. Everyone has something to offer. Everyone has something to offer. We just have to give the mechanisms, capacitate and just keep working. And with the pandemic, it is yet another challenge, but there are no challenges that we cannot overcome if we just put our mind, effort, body, and soul into what we're doing. So I hope that answers your question, and hopefully we'll be able to cascade the information once it's ready for public consumption. But please stay tuned, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Nur-Ainee. Now, I know that two hours and 16 minutes is not enough to talk about these things, such inspiring and powerful conversation, but we have to end this. We would want everyone to enjoy the rest of the Sunday. Again, thank you so much for all the resource speakers, amazing talk. I am personally inspired, and I hope it also inspired everyone in this room to be a committed team member or a leader. It's not yet too late to start. What's important is you actually start. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Have a great Sunday and take care.
Namaskar. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste. Stay in touch. Bye.
Thank you and salam.
Bye. See you.
Salamat po.
Salam.
Salamat. Thank you. Paul, thank you.
At serbisyong